Good morning, all future owls. Once again, my name is Catherine Kellman. I'm the director of for the Department of Housing and Residential Education. And so we're going to spend about 25 minutes talking about all things housing. So just make sure that if you don't currently see the chat option, please make sure that you refresh your browser so that you can see that. So I'm going to give everyone about a minute or so, less than a minute, about a couple seconds to get yourself ready to go. And I'm going to also change my screen so that way you can see our PowerPoint and our virtual tours as I bring them through. So make sure that you refresh your browser. And the next thing that you should see is the chat feature as well as the PowerPoint. Okay, so welcome to the Department of Housing and Residential Education. This is our Choose event. And so as you think about choosing to live on campus, we want to highlight some important information for you all. So our contracts and assignments are for academic years. So our housing contract for the summer 2021 is currently open, and our academic contract for fall of 2021 and spring 2022 are also open. They opened on December 1st. The deadline to apply is May 1st. You should not delay, as I said earlier in the panel today, that you want to make sure that you are completing your housing as soon as possible, completing that, paying the $100 non-refundable application fee, so that way you can, get on our list and have your housing selected. Once again, it is a non-refundable application fee. It is not a deposit or a prepayment towards your housing costs. Students are required to live on campus if they live outside of the 30-mile radius of our Boca Raton campus. If you live within 30 miles, you are exempt, as well as the other listed things. So for example, if you are at least 21 of age, married, and if you have any other exemptions, you will need to have applied for an exemption by May 1st for the summer term and July 1 if you're doing the fall. Once again, as we said, if you are coming in for our summer term, you are not required to live on campus, but if you are choosing to do so, please follow all the deadlines that we have elected here. For our Wilkes Honors students living on our Jupiter campus, all first-year students are required to live on campus for their first 2 years, even if they're within the 30-mile radius. That is a residential college experience, and so we do require students to live on campus for 2 years. After that 2-year requirement has been fulfilled, you can then decide to live off campus, but many of our students decide to live on campus with us for their whole duration in our Wilkes Honors College. What can I request within my contract? So any students requiring or need of an ADA accommodation should register with our Student Accessibility Services by June 1st for the fall. And that's where you would ask for any accommodations that you may have, things like an ESA, a service animal, if you need a strobe light, things of that nature. So please make sure that you're connecting with that department so that you can have that. You're able to press list up to 3 preference types for those rooms, and you can preference up to 1 roommate or suite mate. We'll talk a little bit about that throughout our discussion today, but the difference between a roommate and a suite mate is the following. A roommate is someone that you actually share a bedroom with, and a suite mate shares your suite. Here at Florida Atlantic University Housing, we do have only suite style housing. So you're going to be sharing some sort of space with someone else. It may be either in a room itself, the bedroom, or within the suite. And please note that this does take priority over your room preference. So, additionally, you may be wondering how housing assignments are actually done. So they're based off of the date in which you completed your contract. So the earlier you complete your contract, the higher you are on the list. The enrollment of the full academic course load. And so as we talked about earlier today, making sure that you're completing your OWL done and getting your registration done for the fall. Your distance from campus. So those who are 30 miles or further would have higher priority as someone who is within 30 miles and seeking housing. Registered for orientation. And then your room preference, your roommates or suite mate preference are not guaranteed. So because it's all based on all of the listed items before we get to your room preference, if you completed your housing contract in July and someone completed their housing contract in December, they're going to have their preference first because they've completed beforehand. So just make sure that you are completing and getting your things done in a timely manner. All communications related to housing, assignments, or just general information is going to come to your FAU email. We do not send emails to parents or to outside email servers. So please make sure that you're frequently reading your FAU emails to do so. And once you've tuition deposit, you'll start to see that you're going to get a lot more information related to housing and other things at FAU. Additionally, all our residential halls do require a meal plan, so students will be able to select that during the housing contract process. Housing during our breaks, our housing is open during Thanksgiving break and spring break with no additional cost. Our winter break, our housing is open to students who are approved for break housing. There is no cost for break housing, but there is an application process that has to be completed to know that you are qualified for our break housing. Break housing is not available for between summer and fall. Summer and starting students will plan to move out in the summer. So if you are planning to stay with us here for the summer as a brand new student, you would not have break housing. So between those 10 days that we start for the fall, you would need to move out of the space and collect your items, and then you'll move back in at the normal time. What comes included in your room, you're going to have an extra large twin bed, a desk and chair, a dresser, and horizontal window blinds. And we'll take some opportunities later after the PowerPoint to talk a little bit about what the room looks like, because I know everyone is excited about what comes in the room, but what does it look like? How big is that space? What can I do with that space? What's some of the best views? So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about safety and security. So all of our front desks are staffed 24 hours a day. Our housing community service officers, which we call our CSOs, patrol our residence halls and our apartments areas in the evenings and overnights. The Night Owls program provides ride service in the evening to students across campus. It's just students on golf carts kind of connecting to make sure that students are able to walk safely. We do have blue light phones and across our buildings, but also throughout our campus, and those connect right to our FAU PD for emergencies. All our entrances to all of our residence halls and elevators in some of our buildings do require an OWL card for access. And then within some of the fun things, so we do have a residential curriculum. So all the things that we do, from what our residence assistants do to even our desk operations, there's a learning outcome so that we know that our students are learning the skills that have been set forth by their families, and in gaining additional skills as they move out through college and out into the workforce. So we do strengthen their academics, we engage them in our FAU community, they explore oneself, and they develop a multicultural competency through the times that they live with us. So even if they spend 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, they'll learn different elements within our curriculum. And then our resources that we have here for students is a 3-layer system. So we have resident assistants who are our peers who have lived on campus for at least a year, and they want to engage with students to help problem solve and address issues and concerns, but to do some great programming for all our students. We have graduate students who are seeking to go into the field of housing, and they also do programs, but they also do provide academic resources. They provide concerns and questions, but also connect students to resources and things of that nature, and overall management of the building. And then we have master's level professional staff that are in charge of each of our spaces. And they do also programming, but they also are there to help the student if there's a crisis, but also engage the students and make sure that they're taking part in all the things that FAU has to offer for them within housing and outside of housing. Some of our academic initiatives that we have. So we have a Get Wise Center, both in our Glades Park Tower and our new hall that's being built as we currently speak. Within that space, there's quiet study spaces. We have tutoring sessions that have there, study group spaces, advising and career consulting that happens in that space. Our Get Wise Centers are one of the only spaces where you will see students just immersing themselves in different opportunities, because we bring in a lot of our outside partnerships into our spaces. We also have faculty engagement opportunities where we bring in faculty into our buildings to talk about research opportunities, interns that they're providing, or even topics of interest that they believe that will be of interest of students, and talk about that within related to their academic enrichment. Then we have academic focus initiatives. So we do programs that are focused on different academic majors or different academic opportunities across campus, or we do provide opportunity for academics partners to come into our buildings and host different opportunities as well. We do academic intervention, so we do work with our academic partners if we see a student is struggling with their academics to help them engage and connect with some of the resources that we have across campus. But we also do recognition. So we know if students are doing really well, we want to recognize them as people who are achieving above and beyond grades, and celebrate them in that endeavor as well. So we're going to cover a couple of these different questions once we get into the tour. But what should I do when what should I bring when I move in? Can I bring a pet? Can I have a microwave oven, a fridge? How does cable work? Can I bring a vehicle? What's in the lobby? What's in the common kitchen area? What are the benefits of living on campus? Is there a curfew? Can I have an overnight guest? So there are a plethora of different things that we're going to cover today during our virtual tour. So let's get started. So first, you'll want to go onto our housing website. So that's www.fau.edu/housing. And it's going to allow you to come into these three lines here in the corner next to the search bar. And you're going to click them. And then you're going to go to future residents and you'll see take a tour. It'll bring you to this particular website. So I'm going to close so you can see. Here you can take a tour of any of our buildings. We actually make it really easy and have your first time in college living. So these are the three buildings that we will show you that are primarily our first year area. And then we have a mixed building, which is our Indian River Towers building. And so I'm going to show you a tour of each of those buildings today and answer some of the questions that you have. So let's first start with our Glaze Park Tower building. So Glaze Park Tower is in our housing quad area. So it's our main part of campus. So when you come to campus, it's right there. Big hub of activity. Heritage Park, Glaze Park Tower and Heritage Park Tower are sister buildings. So if you were to go and look up to take a tour, you would see the exact same room types as well as configuration. So I won't show a Heritage Park Tower tour because it's the exact same building. It's just in a different space. So let's go to our Glaze Park Tower. So when you click into Glaze Park Tower, or what we call here on campus GPT, you're going to be given 4 different options to show. First, you're going to be, you're able to see the main lobby, the study lounges, and the double room, and a 2-bedroom large. So I'll explain them, the different types as we go along, but just note that you're able to go through this whole experience multiple times. So first, let's go to the double room. So this is one of our rooms that is really popular, but we have very little of these spaces. So I'm going to start this tour, and we call this a shared double is what we call it. So as you can see, the tour is going to just run itself. So let's talk about the first question we have. First question is there a curfew? So we don't have a curfew here on FAU's campus. Students are allowed to come and go as they please. However, we do have visitation policies, and so you do have to sign in your guests. If it's an overnight guest or a guest that's just coming to visit you, if they're within building, you don't have to sign them in, but if they're coming from a different building, you need to sign them in. It just helps us kind of know who's in the space. You'll need to note that your roommate needs to approve who's in your space. So make sure that you're having a conversation. Part of the room process, the rooming process, is that you'll be doing a roommate agreement form. So that's a time in which you talk about these policies. And I'm going to start the tour one more time so you can see this room over before I go to the next room. And so you'll talk about all of the policies related to cleaning and things of that nature. So as you look at this particular tour, you'll see that the bathroom is in this space. Students are responsible for cleaning their own bathroom. So you'll need to bring things like, bathroom mats, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, all of those things in order to really have your space ready for yourself. We do provide one complimentary shower curtain, but we know that that won't be the only shower curtain used during that time. And so please make sure that you're prepared with another shower curtain. As you can see in the room, it's a large space for 2 people. It gives the students enough space to kind of spread out but not be on top of each other. You're able to see that the closet space is open. There are no doors, so students are able to put up curtains and things of that nature to decorate your room. You're not going to be using nails or anything of that nature. We use commando hooks or blue tape here. So I'm going to take you to the next room type, which is our Heritage Park Tower, and this is what we call our L&R room. If you were on our Instagram with admissions about a week ago, we toured one of these exact rooms, but I'm going to go through this tour again. So the L&R room type is 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other, and they share one bathroom. The prior room we just showed is 2 people in one room, and they have one shared bathroom. And like I said earlier, that particular room we showed, there are only very few of them, are under 20 of those types of rooms. So they do go fast. And so if you haven't selected your room option or preference yet, and others have, then more likely that room will go first in our housing selection. So as you see, both people get a closet here. They all get dressers and desks and chairs. All furniture that's listed in the room must stay in the room. Nothing can be removed or broken down. The bed that is placed in the room, the bed frame can be lifted or lowered. We do have a process during opening to do that for students, so that way the room is at their best. Some of our buildings, and you'll see when we get to the Parliament Hall tour, you'll see that some of our beds actually go much higher than other beds. It's just the different types of frames that we do offer here on campus. So you must be wondering, and I know there's one of these questions have come through the chat already, is how do we select roommates? So first, our recommendation is completing your contract and completing the lifestyle questions. Within that process, you'll fill out some questions about yourself, and then it'll give you options of people who also fit the same amount of percentages. So by a percentage, it'll say this person matches you by 60% or 40% or 85%. And based on that, it's how you all answered the questions, and that would make you a great fit. We do not recommend that you go on social media to find roommates. Either you know them prior to coming on campus, or you find them through the lifestyle questions. You will select one, you can select one roommate or suite mate. So for example, in this situation, you could select your roommate in this process, or you could select, in our other room types, if it's a single, you can select a suite mate, but you cannot select all 3 individuals for the remaining spaces in this room. We do that so that way students aren't in a room with people that they all know, and they're just staying within their space, that they're able to meet new people, engage with new people. And some people only know 2 people or only know 3 people, and then that leaves the other person out. So we want to build a great community here for all our students. And you'll list your preferences. So if this is a room type that you like, you would make this your first preference. If it's a Parliament room that you like, you will list your next preference. But you can't do any of these things until you make sure that you've tuition deposit in the OWL Done portal. So please make sure that you do that. So another question that's come in, do custodial come in and clean the bathrooms for students during the semester? No, they don't come in during the semester to clean the bathroom. They clean it at the beginning of the year. So we're going to head over to Parliament Hall. So Parliament Hall, I'm going to first show the double room. So similar to the one that you just saw in our Glaze and Heritage Park Tower tour, but you'll see that this particular building has 2 bathrooms for 4 people. So that means the people, 2 residents on the opposite side have their own bathroom space, and in the other room, they have their own bathroom space. So where 4 people are sharing one bathroom, you now have 2 people sharing one, 2 people sharing the other. So another question is, how much is parking? Parking is free. There is no choice. There's no charge for that. There is parking for scooters, motorcycles, and things of that nature. Students would do that through their My FAU, and it would just be a virtual parking pass, and they would be able to park in our green parking. So the next question is, when would I receive my housing assignment? You will receive your housing assignment in early June or late June for the fall semester. So that way you know, and then about a couple weeks later, you'll get your roommate preference information, and that will also be on the OWL Done portal, and you'll need to be able to communicate that way. You won't receive phone numbers or any of that nature. You'll just have an email, so that way you can actually speak and communicate with their student. If you have questions about any of our housing rates, they can also be found on our website under housing rates, and we encourage you all to look at that, because each of our buildings have different costs allocated for the different room types that I'm showing you here today. So you want to make sure that you're reviewing that with your family members, so that way you know. We do take safety here very important at FAU. And so as you look at our building, you'll notice that these buildings have a lot of students. We have over 600 students in each building. We do have cameras that are on to just, monitor our spaces and for safety. They do go to PDs, our police department as well. So if there's any concerns or issues, they are able to address them as well. We do have on-call RAs during each day and each evening, and so they're able to assist students as things do arrive. So that was our two-bedroom space in Parliament. So we'll now go to a four. We haven't seen this room type before, and so within this room type, you're going to have four individual bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, and still two bathrooms. So the people here in bedroom A and B, which is what we call it, will share this bathroom. In bedroom C and D, the students will share this bathroom. During the housing process, you won't be able to select the bedroom in which you choose, but you'll select, if you want your suite mate, you can select your suite mate, and you would have within one of these rooms. So I'm going to start that tour as we walk through. So what happens if there's a roommate conflict with my roommate? Who do I go to? So which is a great question. Thank you so much. First, we want you to start talking with your roommate, address those concerns with them. However, the RA is there to help you if anything that may arrive. They will do roommates mediations with you, and if that doesn't work, you can always go to our professional staff in the building. But we do a roommate agreement within the first 4 weeks of school, and that covers a lot of things like visitation, cleanliness, communication, the noise level. Are you a late sleeper? Are you an early riser? Can I borrow your stuff? Can we share things? So who's going to clean the bathroom? Any of those things. It allows everyone to have a good understanding related to that. How often do non-residents get into the building or up into students' rooms? Not very often. Our staff at the front desk are very vigilant of monitoring our camera spaces, but also our entryways. And within our Parliament Hall, you have to have an OWL card to get up the elevator. In our other buildings, you have to have an OWL card to get through the tower doors that would lead into our residential living spaces. So it is quite difficult. So one of the other questions that just came in was related to, are residents allowed to have animals? You're allowed to have a fish with and no larger than 10-gallon tank, and you're allowed to have an emotional support animal or service animal as long as it's gone through the FAU Student Accessibility Service process. That information can also be found on our website under accommodations. Please make sure that if you have questions related to that process, that you do that very soon, as June is our deadline for asking for those accommodations and being guaranteed to complete those and what we have open. But we also do accommodate all any requests that come from student accessibilities. So the next question, as I have the tour go over one more time, are our floors divided by gender? No. So our suites are do have single gender, but we also have gender inclusive housing, and that is part of our contract assignment. So if you have more questions about our gender inclusive housing, please make sure that you contact us. But our floors are not. So you could have one suite with 4 people living in there as one gender, and then another suite next door with different gendered students. So it's not by floor. Students are allowed to have opposite sex guests as overnight or daytime guests, but that is still, once again, a conversation to have with your roommate around the comfortability of that process and making sure that you communicate when those individuals would be there. So as you've seen throughout the tour, every person decorates the space very differently. So what appliances you can most definitely bring are microwaves and mini fridges, coffee pots, air fryers, hair appliances. All of our options related to approved appliances are listed on our housing website. We do allow LED lights, not regular Christmas lights, but LED string regular lights would be open. We don't allow anything that is an open heat and element, because it could cause a fire. So we are down to the last 5 minutes of our tour today. But I want to encourage you all to continue to look at these tours as we move to our last tour for this session. So the last tour that we're going to have is for our Indian River Towers. So Indian River Towers is a building that is a mixed class year building. And so what does that mean? We have some first years that live in that building, and we also have some sophomores that live in that building. We tend to divide them by tower, but we also they may request students, but we tend not to mix them. Before I leave our Parliament tour, I just want to make you aware of, so you all saw that some of the screen showed a ladder. These particular rooms in Parliament do have an option for the bed to go the highest. So we do provide a ladder that can't be removed. They can be removed from the bed area, but it can't be removed from the room, so the bed can go all the way up. So we see a lot more students engaging in lofting of the beds. So the last tour before we close out is Indian River, and you'll see a big difference between the other buildings tours that you saw already for today. So this particular tour, you'll see that they have a living room area, so people can hang out in this space and enjoy, just hanging out, watching TV, playing games, or whatever that may be. This particular tour is a 4-bedroom, which is the most common, but we do have 2 bedrooms similar to the others that you saw today. So each of these individuals have their own bedroom, but they share a living room. The bathroom is a little different in this space. There's the shower area is in one space and the toilet space is in another. So that way students are not, on top of each other in the sense of having to get ready for their school days. So each space all come with dressers and chairs and desks and bed frames and mattresses. And then they all, once again, come with a shower curtain in the bathroom. But as you can see, it is up to the student to decorate their spaces. It is also important that all the furniture that's in our common spaces are also stay in the space. So we don't remove couches or any of the other furniture. So that has brought us to the end of our session today. I wanted to say thank you so much for spending some time and learning a little bit about living on campus. If you have any other questions, please contact housing@fau.edu or go onto our housing website and just really take some time to peruse and look at all of the information that we have to provide you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you all in the fall, and thank you for choosing FAU.